everyone! In today's video, I'm going to share some useful solutions to some of your common gift wrapping struggles. And this video actually came about from viewers like you and some of the questions and comments you've left on some of my other gift wrapping tutorials. Those videos have been a little more focused on how to wrap the perfect present and ways to make it look as good as possible. But sometimes that's not reality. So instead, today, I'm going to share some useful tips on things like how to wrap fast. Maybe you have a mountain of presents you have to wrap, or you've just got to get out the door quickly. I'm also going to share some tips around how to wrap those presents that maybe don't fit so nicely in a rectangular box. And also what to do if maybe you've run out of wrapping paper, but you don't want to just throw your gift in a gift bag. You do want to still wrap it some way. But before we get into the video, for those of you that are new to my channel, hi, my name is Catherine, and I absolutely love decorating for the holidays. And for me, my wrapped presents are part of my decor. I also love fashion and beauty, so if you happen to love any, or maybe all of those topics, then I hope you'll consider subscribing. But let's go ahead and get started with some tips on how you can wrap fast. Now when it comes to wrapping fast, one of the best things you can do is actually a little bit of prep work ahead of time before you're ever even ready to wrap, and that is to keep all of your supplies in one place. For me, that is in the closet in my office. So when it's time to wrap, I just have that one place to go, and I can basically grab my tackle box, which has all of my tape and cutting implements, gift tags, that kind of stuff, and my wrapping paper, and I don't have to go searching across the house for the tape over here and the scissors over here. But the type of materials that you use also make a difference, including the wrapping paper. So for me, I like to use a medium weight wrapping paper. Anything too thick and it's going to be hard to keep tape down, and anything too thin, when you're moving quickly, it's easy to accidentally tear the paper, stick a finger through it, and then you just have to restart over. In addition, I like to find wrapping paper that has the grid line on the inside, because when it's time to cut, it makes it that much easier and quicker for me to be able to just zip along if I have a line that I can follow. And then inside my tackle box, I also have some important materials that make a difference. So I do have the usual suspects, but there are also a couple of additional investments that can make wrapping a lot faster. The first is having a special tool to actually cut the paper. And so I'll show you how to use this in just a moment, but this is a huge time saver. And then the other thing is to have some kind of tape dispenser like this that allows you to easily put down a piece of tape and then press the piece of wrapping paper on top of it. At this point, I have tilted the camera down so you can see what I'm doing on the table a little better. And we're getting ready to wrap. And so to wrap fast, we're going to use the diagonal wrapping method. And I will go over what that means. But first thing we need to do is cut our paper. And that's where this handy little paper cutter is going to come in. So with the diagonal wrapping method, you don't need as much paper as you might need in a traditional wrapping method. But you do need to make sure that when you lay the present down diagonally on the piece of paper, that you have enough to cover all four corners. So I'm going to take my cutter and I'm basically going to line it up so that the paper slides into this open notch here. Great thing about this being a cylinder is I can run it down this way pretty quickly, and this will guide me and help keep me a little bit more straight. All right. And there you can see how quick and easy that was to get a straight line. Now that doesn't completely negate the need for any kind of other scissors or cutters, because I do have a lot of extra paper over here that I don't want. So once again, I just need to make sure that this is a little bit longer than the four corners. So I'm going to take a different type of paper cutter, but you could take regular scissors, and I'm going to come along here and I'm going to get this cut right along that. Okay, so I'm going to start by taking my present with the bottom facing up and having it kind of facing square towards me, so it's diagonal to the paper. And then I'm going to have my tape close to me for this. And so basically with it well in the middle of this piece of paper, I am going to take the corner that is closest to me, and I'm going to pull that up and over the present, and I'm going to just hold that with my right hand, and then I'm going to take one of the adjacent sides for this part right here, which has, a little bit of a flap, which is important. I do need that flap, but I'm going to make sure that it kind of folds in as I'm doing this, so that when I pull this up and over, I've got a nicely covered corner. So now that I've kind of got this placement figured out, I'm just gonna kind of pull that back a little bit. I'm gonna take my tape dispenser and I'm going to run a piece of tape right there. This is double-sided tape. So then I can press that down and I've now got 2 of my sides wrapped. But now we need to do this with the other side that's adjacent to the original one that I put on. I'm going to take this side, and as I'm pulling up, I'm going to make sure that I'm pulling that up, folding that in, and then once again, once I have it up, I'm going to kind of pull that back, lay down my tape, and press that down. And I got a little bit of a crease there, but that's okay because this is now about to fold over. So now we just have the one side left, and this is where it can get a little bit tricky just to keep it looking neat. So this depends a little bit on how quickly you're going versus how much you're just trying to get it done. So for this, we are going to now pull this up and over, but theoretically we kind of will fold this in a little bit. Create a little bit of a point, so then we can pull this up and over and create somewhat of a point to be able to have on the bottom. And then once again, I'll pull this back, kind of see where I need my tape, press that down, and we've got the present wrapped. Now, this method is super handy because it's fast and because you don't need as much paper, but it is a little trickier to get as crisp a present than you can do when you do the traditional wrapping method. So it's just up to you what's more important, speed or looks. But this still is perfectly presentable as a present. Next up, we're going to go over how to wrap some of those oddly shaped presents that either you don't have a rectangular gift box for, or maybe you don't want to use one. And one of the common shapes for presents like that are going to be cylindrical things. So I'm just taking this candle, and I'm actually just taking a piece of scrap that I had left over. For this, you do basically want to cut your paper to the right size. So I'm going to lay my cylindrical item down on its side, and first of all, I'm going to make sure I don't have too much paper. So I want this to go all the way around the present and have just a little bit of coverage, but I don't want too much because that's going to make it hard to fold in the ends. And again, for this, I'm going to take this cutter to do that. So now I've got the length of the paper figured out. I need to figure out the width. So for this, I want to cut the paper such that the ends fold up and do not extend past the end of the item. So that's fine, but on this side, you can see I have way too much. So I'm just gonna kind of pull this up and see how much I need to cut off. Okay, so now we're ready to actually start wrapping. So I am gonna have my single-sided tape handy for this. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I've got my present on its side once again. I'm going to pull up one side, and I'm going to use a piece of single-sided tape here. I am going to go ahead and take this tape once again though, and I'm just going to run that along the edge. So then when I pull this over, keeping it as tight as I can, I've now got this taped down. So now we need to work on the ends, and we're going to do this similar to how you would a regular square or rectangular box, except instead of having 2 sides in with 2 points, we're going to basically do kind of a fan shape. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take where this crease is at, and I'm going to press down there, and I'm going to take a single-sided piece of tape once again. This just makes it so much easier if you're willing to do this, and I'm going to just kind of loosely tape that down. Now I'm going to come over a little bit, and I'm going to fold in, and I'm going to press that down so that I get a nice kind of crease and I'm following this edge. And then I'm going to roll a little bit more and I'm going to do this once again. I'm going to fold it in. And I'm going to keep doing this around the present until I get back to this edge and I've got a little bit of a nice point there. And I'm going to pull that up, kind of press those sides down so I get it flat. And then once I got that figured out, I'm going to add a little bit of tape. Now I'm going to press that down. And now we've got this with a fairly flat bottom. But this is one of the reasons why you don't want too much overlap, because the more overlap you have, the more paper that you're trying to fold in, and it just makes it hard to get something messy there. Now we're going to do the same thing with the top. So once again, I'm going to start where the crease is, take my single-sided tape, press that down, come over a little ways, press that in, roll over, do that again, press in. Keep doing that until I get to where I've got a nice flap. And I will take my tape. All right, and there you go. That's what it looks like on the top. So for a present like this, I think this is a great one to put a bow on top to kind of hide some of the, maybe messiness that's going on, but otherwise it's a very presentable looking present. Before we get into this next tip, but since you're still here, hopefully that means you're enjoying this video or at least finding it useful. If so, I would really appreciate it if you would give this video a thumbs up and maybe even consider subscribing. Also, go ahead and leave me a comment and let me know what's the best gift that you've ever received. For me, I think it was probably when I was 10 years old, my parents got me my very own 4-foot Christmas tree that I could put in my bedroom and decorate myself. And that's kind of where the Christmas craze started. But what if you have a present that you don't have a gift box for, but is just really a weird shape? Well, one of the things that you can do is basically create your own gift wrap gift bag, but it still gives that opportunity to use maybe gift wrap that works with the rest of the wrapping paper theme that you have, or give someone that satisfaction of being able to tear into something. So I need to start off by figuring out how much wrapping paper I need. So for this, I'm basically thinking about, this is going to sit in the gift bag, facing up. So I need to have enough to be able to go all the way around the present and then by about another halfway. So I'm going to take this handy thing again. Now I'm going to take the ends of the paper and fold them in so that one covers the other. Before I do that, I am going to add some of my double-sided tape to the piece that's going to overlap over the other side. I'm just going to add this in several spots, making sure I get good contact. Then I'm going to bring this back over. I'm trying to keep it somewhat lined up. Go over that and basically create the seam for the back of the gift bag. So now I need to figure out the base of the gift bag. So I'm going to place my present on the side and I need to figure out how big to make that bottom flap. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull it up, and I want to make sure that it not only covers but goes up about another halfway. And that is where I'm going to create the flap or fold this in. We're going to just fold that in, get a nice crease there. Okay, now with this flap, I'm going to take that, start to open it up so that I'm creating what ends up looking like two triangles that you see of the actual wrapping paper design itself. And then I'm just going to fold those down. I'm going to do that on this side as well. Now I'm going to take these ends and fold them in towards the middle, making sure I get a little bit of overlap. Take my tape, press that down. So now we just created the bottom of the gift bag. So I'm gonna flip this over, stick my hands in, and kind of flatten out the bottom. And now we've got the start of our gift bag. So if you had an item that was a little bit heavier, this would be a great time to just take a spare piece of cardboard and cut it to the shape of the bottom, and then you could stick that inside the gift bag and then put the present on top of that just to give it a little stability. With this, I don't need to worry about it. So from here, I'm just gonna drop that in. Now I'm gonna take this extra flap, fold that in, just to create a little bit neater edge. You can tape this down. Tape that down so it stays nice and secure. So now you have your own homemade gift bag. And with this, you could get fancy and poke a hole through here and make your own ties, add, a ribbon to the top of that to dress it up a little bit. But what do you do if you don't have enough gift wrap to wrap something? So you can see here, if I were to try to wrap this in the traditional method, it doesn't meet up. I couldn't. I could go back to the diagonal method, which you'll see here, this is plenty of paper to be able to use the diagonal method, but there are some other options as well. So for instance, I could go ahead and start to wrap this like a regular present, assuming I had enough. And then I could come in with a piece of scrap paper and cut that to a good size. So let me shorten that just a bit. And I could add this on here and basically do my own patchwork. Add tape to one side. Press that down. So then when I pull it around, now all of a sudden I have enough, and then just finish wrapping this just like you would any other present. And now it's just a design choice of, do you want this side to be on the top or do you want this side to be on the top? I personally like it like this. But what if you don't have any wrapping paper? There are other materials that you can use. One of those being a scrap piece of fabric. And one of the great things about this technique is you don't even need tape for it. So what you're going to do is you are going to find a piece of scrap fabric that's about 3 times the size of your present. You're going to take the piece of fabric, I'm using a bandana in this case, and I'm going to turn it so that it's diagonally facing me. Then I'm going to take my present and I'm going to put it in the middle, catty corner to the diagonals, and then I'm going to start folding in the side closest to me. And I'm going to make sure when I fold it in that it doesn't extend further than the top of the present, just because that's going to make it a little easier for me. And I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. And I'm going to try to keep it somewhat taut. Then I'm going to take the other 2 ends and I'm going to kind of gather those at the edge of the present and basically bring them in to the top middle, and then basically tie that. So there I've got kind of the first tie, and now I'm going to tie it one more time just to create a knot. And for this, I'm going to add a little piece of greenery. And now you've got a beautifully wrapped present using fabric, and because it's a bandana, it's actually reusable. And last option is to actually use a gift bag. And no, I don't mean just sticking it in to the gift bag. This is a little more creative than that, but that would be to use the gift bag basically like wrapping paper. So if the present is small enough to go in the gift bag, just like you might normally do, then what you can actually do is you can take apart the gift bag and you can use the gift bag material itself as your wrapping paper for your gift. So we're just going to take this gift bag and find the seams and basically pull it apart. Okay, now that we have the gift bag undone, we're basically going to just use this like regular old wrapping paper. Now I will say this is a little thicker than regular wrapping paper, so I'm going to use my regular scissors for my cutting. But for this, I'm just going to do the normal style of wrapping. I will try to make some of these seams line up just to, first of all, not have extra seams on my gift wrap, but also it will help give me some crisp edges. So I'm going to speed through this part. I do have a tutorial on how to wrap in this manner that I will link below in case you'd like to see that. And all in all, it's not too shabby a looking gift. Add a bow to it, maybe strategically place it over this seam right here, and no one would be any wiser. So there you have my tips for your gift wrap struggle solved. And I really do hope that you enjoyed this video, or at least found it useful. If so, please be sure to give me a thumbs up if you haven't already. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a very merry holiday season, and until next time, bye.